Okay, all, welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking with Joel. We're going to get started with the corned beef and cabbage, and we're going to be making a bunch of other vegetables with this. But before we dive into that, I'm getting the ingredients that we need to begin. And what you're going to need is if you choose to use the beef stock, which I am going to actually use, but I'm going to use this in the pressure cooker. I'm not going to start the pressure cooker cooking yet because that's going to take less time than the stovetop method does. I'm going to push that down. As you can see, I've got my Le Creuset. You don't have to do this in a Le Creuset. It does help to have a cast iron, but you can do this in a regular pot. It's going to take a little bit longer if you do it in a stainless steel pot versus a Le Creuset or even a Dutch oven. You can do it in a Dutch oven. You can definitely do corned beef and cabbage in a slow cooker. That's going to add about an hour to 2 more hours to the cook. So we're going to do this on the stovetop for the first corned beef, and the second one is going to be done in the pressure cooker. The other ingredients you're going to need are you're going to need onions, and you're going to need bay leaf, and you're going to need water. So I'm just getting stuff ready to go. And the onions don't have to, you do not need to chop the onions. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel and quarter one whole onion. And you're going to want a fairly large onion. And I've got 2 nice sized onions. And they're just plain yellow onions. You can use white onions. In this, I wouldn't suggest using red onions, but you certainly can if that's all you have. So, what you're going to do is you're just going to peel your onion, cut it, and then cut it into quarters. And they can be in whole chunks. So I'm going to actually do that. At the same time, I'm going to ask my husband to bring up the corned beef. And again, I've shown you many times on how to peel an onion. It's very simple. You just want to peel the outer skin of the onion.
Both or one?
Just one.
Which one?
Doesn't matter. If you're going to do more than one corned beef, you're going to want to make sure that they're very close in poundage. I'll take that. And this one is 3 pounds, 26 ounces. So the cook time on the stovetop for the corned beef is going to be about 3 to 4 hours. Now this is before you're going to add any of your vegetables. You're not going to add your vegetables, meaning you're not going to add your cabbage, you're not going to add your potatoes or any other vegetables to this until the 3 hours is complete. And the reason we don't add our root vegetables to it is if you add them while the corned beef is cooking, you're going to have a very, very, very mushy vegetables. And vegetables will not take that long. They'll take about a half an hour or so to fully cook. So I'm going to actually going to put you guys down so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm just taking the onion and I'm just going to quarter it. Now, you don't need to brown any of this. I'm just going to take my quartered onions and I'm just going to throw them in my pot. Now, with the corned beef, what you're going to do, and like I said, I'm going to actually move you guys up. Like I said, corned beef comes in different varieties. Sometimes you need to wash your corned beef. This one already has all of the seasonings attached to it, so you do not need to wash it. You do that more so if your corned beef has a package. And I'm going to just double check to make sure. The Vienna brand of corned beef usually doesn't have the packaging since the meat's already flavored. And yes, this one doesn't. So if your corned beef doesn't have a little package, and it's usually a little package with that has all of your pickling spices for the corned beef in it, you won't need to wash your corned beef. If your package does have the little spice package, then give your corned beef a rinse before you put it in the pot. So we've got our corned beef in our pot, and our corned beef is fat side up. This is very important. You want to have the fat side up because that will prevent the corned beef from drying out. Since the corned beef has not, I haven't started the stove, you can go ahead and add your cold water. And I'm going to do the first one with water versus beef stock. I'm going to do beef stock in the Instant Pot, and that's just going to add, flavor to the meat. And you're going to want to add enough water to cover about halfway to 3/4 of the way of your corned beef. And I'm going to add a little bit more. So this is adding 8 cups of water to this. It's going to give you a lot of juice. Don't worry about it because you're going to discard some of the juice. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm actually going to take you guys over really fast. I'm going to turn on the lights in my kitchen. There we go. Now it's bright. So we have our corned beef and we have our water. And like I said, this is going to take about 3 hours. What you're going to do is you're going to put your stove on the high setting and let the corned beef come to a boil. When it comes to a boil, you can cover it, but when it comes to the boil, you're going to turn down your flame to more of a medium to a low flame. You want to gently boil this. It doesn't need to boil hard. And I forgot to put our bay leaves in, so I'm going to sneak a couple. You want to be generous with your bay leaves. You're going to take these out. These are not going to be in the final product. And I'm just going to add a couple of bay leaves. About 4 is what I added to them. And like I said, we're not going to worry about any of our vegetables right now. You're going to add those at the end of the cook. Or towards the end of the cook. The corned beef and cabbage is going to have another 30-minute cook after the initial time starts. If that makes any sense. So what you're going to do is you're going to cook the corned beef on the stove for 3 hours. At the 3-hour mark, you're going to fork your corned beef and see how tough it is. If it's still really tough, it needs to cook longer. If it becomes fork tender, you can we'll pull out the corned beef and we'll add our vegetables. And the vegetables only need a short cook. Cabbage will take about a half an hour, as will the potatoes, the rutabaga, and the turnips. The parsnip, carrots will cook a little bit quicker. They'll only take about 10 to 15 minutes, but we'll show you that step when we get to it. Now, I'm not doing anything, like I said, with the Instant Pot yet, because the Instant Pot is going to be faster than the stovetop. And when I say faster, it's going to shave off almost an hour and a half of cook time by doing it in the pressure cooker. And you can do corned beef and cabbage in the pressure cooker. However, keep in mind, if you're doing multiple corned beefs. I'm doing 2. If I was doing both of them in the pressure cooker, you need to add a little bit of time to it. And you're going to add another half an hour to cook because you need to break down both corned beefs. That's why I'm doing one on the stovetop and one in the pressure. This is going to give you a lot of leftovers. Corned beef and cabbage can last 3 days in the refrigerator after they're fully cooked before you need to freeze them or throw them out. So, and we love corned beef and cabbage, corned beef sandwiches and stuff, although I don't have any Swiss cheese. So if my husband goes out later, I may say get some Swiss cheese so we can have corned beef sandwiches. So that's pretty much it for this first round. I will be back in an hour to show you how we do the pressure cooker. Okay, I'm back. No, an hour has not elapsed. This is just a really quick. You might be wondering what vegetables go well with corned beef. Well, any root vegetable will pair well with corned beef. Traditional corned beef is served with cabbage. It's also served with potatoes and carrots. You can add any other vegetable to this, really. You could add parsnip, you could add turnips, you could add rutabaga, and I'm going to show you how to prepare those vegetables later on in the video. Those don't take that long of a time, but you do need to peel your turnips, your rutabaga, and your parsnip, as well as your carrots. For the potatoes, you don't necessarily need to peel the potatoes unless you like your potatoes to not have skin. But you can certainly cook them with the skin on. And you're going to basically just quarter them. You're not going to dice them as if you're doing mashed potatoes. You could also, if they're small enough, if they're baby potatoes, you can leave them whole and just put them in the pot. But don't put them in the pot until your corned beef is ready to come out of the pot. As for sides, good rye bread, Irish soda bread is a good accompaniment to the meal. You don't need to serve anything else because your corned beef and cabbage will have all of the vegetables that you need. So, you don't need to make anything else to serve with the corned beef and cabbage. You might want to consider horseradish sauce to serve with the corned beef. And there are 2 varieties of horseradish. Well, there's actually 3. There is fresh horseradish, but I don't have fresh horseradish. And when you're doing fresh horseradish, make sure when you peel it and you go to grate it that you're in a well-ventilated area, because fresh horseradish is very, very overpowering. So I'm going to show you the 2 different types of horseradish. And I've got them both right here. And they're both prepared horseradish. This is a prepared horseradish, but it's not a sauce. This is straight horseradish. This is also a prepared horseradish sauce, but this one is mixed with a mayonnaise base. This one and this one will taste similar. This one I find not to be as sharp as this one, but they both pair really well with corned beef. And you can also use them for any beef dish if you're doing a beef roast. So, for the Instant Pot, if you're going to do the corned beef in the Instant Pot, obviously you're going to need an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker. You're going to start your recipe, depending on when you want to eat, about 2 hours before you want to serve the meal. And that's to get everything ready to go. Like I said, the stovetop is going to take longer than the Instant Pot, so I'm going to wait a good hour before I start getting stuff ready for the Instant Pot. So, that's basically what we're going to do the first couple of hours. I'll be back to show you the Instant Pot when we start that.